This is the lecture for Renee Joregensen's Algorithms and the Individual in Criminal Law. So the first point is about claims. So she's trying to understand how we should interpret the right to individualized treatment. And one of the possibilities she suggests is, maybe we can interpret the right as something like a claim that high stakes legal decisions be personalized rather than being subjected to one size fits all justice. So we've seen this talk about claims before. I talked about it in an earlier lecture, and this is just to reiterate that. So a claim is sort of a way of understanding a right, or it's a component of a right. In this case, this claim is linked to the right to individualized treatment. And so when you have a claim that something, so a claim that blah, 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 this means that because you have this right, because you have this claim, you can demand that something happens. So if you have a claim that high stakes legal decisions be personalized, then, morally speaking, you are able to demand this. And then because you have this claim, because you can make this demand, the person or, the entity of whom you make this demand has an obligation to fulfill your claim. That's what it means to say that there is a claim or that you have a claim that something. So that's claims. On 66, and throughout the article, there's discussion of this notion of credence. So she says, for instance, plausibly, it is morally negligent or reckless to intentionally harm someone unless we have not only reasonably high credence, for example, above some threshold, that the action is morally appropriate, but this credence is resilient. So when she's talking about credence, this is kind of a technical term. So credence is a way of describing sort of how much we believe something, so the degree of belief. So when I ask, like, what is your credence in the claim that, Tuesday comes after Monday? Presumably your credence is very, very high because that's something you absolutely believe. Like, you're very convinced of that belief. You're pretty sure Tuesday comes after Monday. If I ask you, what is your degree of credence for the claim that aliens are going to visit the planet within the next 3 years? Probably you have like a very low credence. Maybe it's like near zero if we're assigning numbers to these. If we assign numbers to credences, usually the way we do it is between 0 and 1. Zero credence means you sort of have no belief at all in the thing. So if you have a credence of 0 that aliens are going to visit the planet in the next 2 years, that means you don't think that's going to happen at all. There's no chance according to you. If you have a credence of 1, this means you sort of absolutely believe it. You're certain that aliens will visit the planet in 2 years. And if you have like a credence of 0.5, this means, well, you're equally certain as you are uncertain. Like, effectively you think the chances that, well, the degree to which you think aliens are going to believe or are going to visit the planet within the next 2 years, you're half sure. Like, if somebody asked you to bet, is this going to happen? You'd bet, a 2-to-1 odds or something. So that's credence. It's describing how much you believe something, how convinced you are of some claim. The last topic is the separateness of persons. So this comes up on 68, but mostly 69. So she says, just as invocations of the mostly on 68. Just as invocations of the separateness of persons are in other contexts made to assert that benefits to some cannot offset harms to others, the demand that we treat people as individuals here asserts that wrongdoing by some does not weaken others' moral claim against the imposition of extra costs. So this idea, invocations of the separateness of persons are in other contexts made to assert that that benefits to some cannot offset harms to others. So the idea of the separateness of persons is an idea that is used to argue against moral theories like utilitarianism. So if you recall utilitarianism, or consequentialism more broadly, utilitarianism is the idea that basically whatever leads to the most utility is the best outcome. And famously, utilitarianism doesn't care sort of who gets that utility. If I can get 1,000 utility by doing one thing and it all goes to one person, versus I can get 500 utility by doing something else and that goes to 7 people, I would prefer 1,000 utility to the one person if I'm a utilitarian, because it's more utility. But if you care about more than just total utility, like if you care about how individual people do, and especially if you care about not harming one person to make somebody else better off, then you're not going to just care about total utility, you're going to care about other stuff. So for instance, if I have to harm 80 people to give 1,000 utility to the one person, and it still works out to be more utility total. The utilitarian says yes, but some people say no, that's not good. You shouldn't do that. And one of the ways to kind of summarize this idea is the idea that the sort of persons are separate. The separateness of persons matters. So harms to one person can't be made up by benefits to another because they're different people. I can't make up for the fact that I hurt you by giving something to somebody else. Because in order to make up for the fact that I hurt you, I have to give something to you. Because you're a separate person than the other person. So this is the idea that morally speaking, it matters that we're separate people living separate lives. We can't just lump everybody together for the purposes of morality. So because utilitarianism lumps everybody together, the separateness of persons is often used as an objection to a theory like utilitarianism and as support for a theory that doesn't lump everybody together like this.